Adam Vallus from Lamphere High School in Madison Heights joins us as this week's Michigan Lottery Excellence in Education winner. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So we received a video telling us all the wonderful things that you do in the classroom. So I'd like you to take a look at that video right now.
I was so happy to receive the news that Mr. Vallus had been selected to receive this award. Before I tell you about why I nominated him, I wanted to give you a little background as to what went into my decision. There are so many people here at Lamphere Schools that make it such a special place to be. People who work behind the scenes and those who ensure that everyone is safe, that no one goes hungry, and there are enough opportunities to include every student. You can probably imagine that with 3 children and over 19 years in the same school district, we have been through quite a lot. Lamphere has a great team working together for the successful future of our students. Everyone, teachers, admins, coaches, janitors, bus drivers, and administrators, give countless hours mentoring our children, often step into roles that their job descriptions simply do not contain. I appreciate all of them, yet I could only nominate one. Ultimately, I chose to nominate Mr. Vallus for the Excellence in Education Award, and I am so honored to have this opportunity to tell you why. I see Mr. Vallus as unique in the way that he adapts his teaching style to best meet the specific needs of his students. He challenges them to do more and to be more and better than they were yesterday. His classroom is known among many students to be a safe place to go if they're having a bad day, just need a little space, or even when they're struggling with something outside of school. I have never seen him turn away from anyone who needed a moment of his time. When you talk to him, he really listens to hear you and not just to respond. And at the end of the day, that's all anyone really wants, is to be heard. I've seen this man drop everything to aid a student or a family in need. He is a consistent presence in the lives of his students and someone they can depend on. We lost a student several years ago to cancer. I cannot even put into words the devastation that wrapped itself around our small community. Mr. Vallus did what naturally comes to him, and he led with compassion and grace as he supported those kids through something most of them had never experienced before. He is so gifted in such a way that allows him to communicate with students at a level they're receptive to. And with teenagers, I have found that to be so rare. Parents all know that there are times when we are the last ones that our teens will talk to, when they are troubled, they have worries or fears. It is in those moments that we need someone with character and strong values to stand in the gap, invest in our kids, and to be a positive voice to help shape and determine the direction of their lives. Mr. Vallus and many others here fill that role without hesitation, and for that I will be always grateful to them.
Wow.
What goes through your mind when you hear that?
Probably the most important one is 4 years ago, she mentioned, and her name is Kayla Kincan, and it just wasn't me, and I was close with the family, and I understand, and they asked me to do some speaking on their behalf, but just the whole community, the high school, the kids just rallied together. So what she says is there's no drama in that. That is absolutely true, and she's had quite an impact. And so when you see a public school have the unity that it did, just not it was in 2014, but each year, it's amazing when someone is hurting or when someone is challenged, everyone's understanding and rallies around and supports them and puts other interests first. That's the kind of high school I work at, so it's all true.
And that's the kind of teacher you are.
Oh, well, it's just not me. I may be gifted in that area from God above, but it's others who allow others who have poured in me over the years.
And one of those you told me about is your mom, and I want to know that story.
Yeah, so my mom passed away about 7 years ago from breast cancer, and it went all through her body, and she battled with it from 2004 to 2011, but she's in a much better place. And like so many high school students that I teach, especially juniors in economics and sometimes seniors, they don't know what they want to do, and I was one of them. So I can connect with them and understand where they're coming from. And my mom always said, you should be a teacher, Adam. You should be a teacher. I'm like, teacher? And I was one of those, I didn't know what I wanted to do, but everyone else did. And so I went down the role of getting a trade. So my dad gave me good advice to get a trade, so you always have something to fall back on. So I went to civil engineering and more so civil design, but I always taught in some capacity, whether it was tutoring, whether it was teaching CAD classes or teaching jitterbug, like swing dancing classes from the 30s and 40s. I was taught in some capacity, and when we had a recession a while back, last decade, that really, you know, I had that heart-to-heart moment, and I'm like, God, what do you want me to do? And His providence was there, and church community, my family, and just opened up, and I ended up at Lamphere about 10 years ago. And how I came to Lamphere is a whole story in itself, but I'm so thankful to be there. So my mom had a great impact, and should do. So.
Tell me about the students and why you get up every single day and go to that classroom and what that's like.
Well, first of all, it helps to be a morning person. So I'm up early and I'm alarm clock within 5 minutes. I'm like, life, let's go. So my students know that, and I have a poster in my room that says, don't count the days, make the days count. And I tell them in economics, because of scarcity, you only have a certain amount of time to live, and you don't know when. So what are you doing with your life? And we want to make good choices, and my students know the difference between being a good economist and a bad economist, and that really means making good choices. So we look at the seen and unseen of your life, and there's this thing in economics that has helped me so much. It's called opportunity cost, and when so much is lost because we don't look at the opportunities that we've lost. And when I look at students, I just don't see, I'm going here for lunch, but just there's so much potential in kids, and not just at Lamphere. I mean, obviously Lamphere is special to me, but I see the opportunity in kids, and I don't want the opportunity to be lost. So just not myself, other teachers and administrators and custodians and bus drivers and all the support staff, we connect with them to make sure that's not lost. So.
Well, thank you for what you do.
Thank you
You
so
brought
much.
tears to
Appreciate
my
it.
eyes, man.
Oh, man. It just sort of it is. So